Hello, welcome to How to Do Physics. We're now going to talk about scientific notation and its relationship with physics, and in writing down and understanding sizes of things. Scientific notation is essentially a way that we can write very small numbers or very large numbers, or really it's also kind of a way to view and get a sense of significant figures, which are important to get an understanding of how many digits to include when we write out an answer, right? So if we had a number that looked like this, we'll call it 3,421, and we'll give it a unit of meters, right? So this is some length of something of 3,421 meters. Put a little comma here so we know. We can convert that into scientific notation to state that it is actually 3.421 times 10 to the 3 meters. Okay, so all that we've done, the only thing that we've done is we've taken this number that is in thousands, and we've put it into a decimal form where we've taken out these hundreds here and put them into this times 10 to the third. Now, this is an okay way to use this, but where it really becomes important is if instead of 3,421 meters, we have something that looks like this, right? And in physics or in math or in any subject that you deal with numbers that look like this, you don't want to have to write all of those zeros. And so what you do is you write this in scientific notation. So where is our decimal? Oops, I forgot my units. We'll call this meters again, right? So our decimal would be right here. And so all we're doing is we're going to move the decimal over, and we're going to count how many times we move it over, right? So where we want it to be is we want it to end up right there, right? To look very similar to this. So we're going to have something that looks like 3.421 times 10 to the what, right? And that what is what we're going to do right now. So we're going to move that over 1 spot, 2 spot, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so did you catch that? If not, you can go back, rewind, and check on that. But we've moved over the decimal 12 times in order to get it into that spot, that 3.421. And so what this now tells us, this times 10 to the exponential number, is it says we're going to move the decimal place over 12 times in order to get you the number that you actually started with, right? But we can do this the other way too, right? So if we had a number that looked like this, 0.0003421 meters, right? Now, instead of moving the decimal from its position on the right to the left, we are now taking its position and we're moving it from the left over to the right, right? Because again, we want it to look something like this. 3.421 times 10 to the what? And so now we have to look and see how many times we have to move this over. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this would be 3.421 times 10 to the negative 5th meters. Okay? So when we see the scientific notation, all that it tells us, all that it means is that we're moving the decimal place either to the left or to the right. If it's a negative, it means we move it to the left. It's going to be a smaller number. If it's a positive exponential or positive value in that times 10, then we move the decimal to the right, and it's going to make it a bigger number. Okay, and this is a way that we can make these values, make these numbers, instead of being what is that? 1,000, million, billion, trillion, 3,421 billion with all of those zeros. We take those zeros and we take that number and we scrunch it down into something that's much more manageable to deal with. Okay, So if you have something like this on your calculator, you can look for a little, so if you were to type it into your calculator, you could do 3.42 times 10 and then raise it to the -5th or the 12th. But our calculators are smart. And so one of the things that most calculators have is a little e. And that little e takes the place of the times 10 part. And so then right after the e, you can put in whatever value you need, right? So in this case, we'd have 3.421 E3, or we would have E12, or I guess I should put this in 3.421 E, and this one would be -5. Okay, so we most of the calculators now have this E because of that, but we also just need to be careful that this some of them require parentheses, so you may have to put parentheses around these, especially if it's a negative. So you just need to make sure that you know what your calculator does or needs. But this is a very nice way to use that in terms of your calculator. So this is something that we will use a lot in physics, especially when you are dealing with things up in space or things that are very small. You have really large numbers or really small numbers. And so scientific notation is a nice way to consolidate all of those things and use them in our calculations. So practice, practice, practice. These things scare you a little bit, but they're not too bad. And there's lots of resources, lots of sites that you can go and you can find places to practice, lots of textbooks, lots of resources. So become nice and familiar with these. And thanks for watching.